All right, it is time for Friday feedback, where we review what is on your minds. Love to hear from folks via email. You can write to info@davidpakman.com. We will sometimes highlight TikTok replies, comments on the Spotify podcast, YouTube comments, Instagram comments. You never know what will be featured. Let's start with an individual who goes by the name Dvalos Michael, who says it's insane that anyone would critique RFK for wanting to make things safer. There's no harm in looking into these things. He's not making it illegal to get a vaccine. It never will be. What he is doing should be applauded. If he finds no wrongdoing, then great. What does he have to gain from this? This is sort of how the grift works. RFK positions himself as a brave truth teller, just asking questions. He even recently said, "Oh, you shouldn't take medical advice from me," but he's just asking questions. But the questions have been answered over and over by actual experts. And one of the greatest grifts that exists is saying about something that we've already gotten answers to. Why am I not allowed to ask questions about this thing? I'm just asking questions. We should praise that. And the idea is that he's just doing this harmless investigation for the betterment of everybody, but it's actually sowing distrust in public health for clout, and in some cases for cash, although maybe not in RFK's specific situation. He's not risking his life to save yours. He's building a brand. He ran this anti-vaccine nonprofit that raked in donations and would get booked on major platforms. And now he's Secretary of Health and Human Services, and he continues to amplify dangerous ideas, all under the guise of asking questions. So yes, critique is not only valid, it's necessary. We love critique, because the issue is that when you give conspiracy theories, a suit and a famous last name, people mistake them for leadership. They mistake them for thought leadership and guidance on issues where we've already gotten the answers from people who are actual experts. So we don't want to just do the fallacious appeal to expertise. We want to actually find subject matter experts and review what's been studied and what has been determined. The fluoride stuff is a great thing. Listen, there are tests associating higher fluoride with lower IQ. And I'm just saying, if you want fluoride, great, but I don't know about putting it in water systems, or because seems to be very dangerous. Never included in that, just to take the fluoride example, is that those studies looked at places where the naturally occurring level of fluoride in the water is 50 to 70 times what we would ever consider putting in water systems. And it takes you into this whole, wow, why can't we explore this? Why haven't we asked questions? Well, we have. We have the data. We've explored it already. And that's where we are. All right, let's go next to Beth Moore. Beth says, "Dude, you do nothing to help your country. You are lost. I could stand," I guess she means I couldn't stand. "I could stand 2 minutes of this video. Please stop taking money to butcher the efforts of this presidency. The people involved are good people." I'm trying to expose corruption. I'm trying to call out authoritarian grift and drift. I'm trying to hold elected officials accountable. If that doesn't help a democracy, then what does? Okay? Whether the people in Trump's administration are good people or not, it's not a defense against bad actions. You can be polite at a dinner party and still support policies that might rip families apart or enrich the ultra wealthy or gut civil rights or flout the rule of law. The bar cannot be they seem nice. We're not grading vibes here. We're trying to grade governance. And if pointing out that I'm evaluating action makes me lost to you, you seem to be completely off the map, Beth. So I would suggest that you maybe reorient yourself a little bit to the way that we do things here on the show. Todd OBrien wrote on Facebook, "The Democrats don't have a populist little David, so the only way a Democrat could ever win back the White House would be corrupt elections. That's the left's only choice at this point." This is where we are now. accusations of election fraud as a default when you lose. But the reality is that the Democrats have won the popular vote. What is it? 7 of the last 8 presidential elections? I might be getting that wrong. So if anything, the real rigging is a system where the loser still gets to be president because of something called the Electoral College, something I'm against. Also, I take issue with this idea that only a populist can win, because that assumes voters want simple slogans over policy, and maybe some do. But as I've said before, populism is really more of a rhetoric than anything else. It's not a set of ideas. Bernie and Tucker both espouse populist rhetoric. On policy, their ideas couldn't be more different. And so the emotional appeal of populism, I don't find to be particularly good. Trump used it to sell tax cuts for billionaires. Bernie used it to say we should have universal health care. It's not the same, okay? So this argument that populism is the only way to win, I just don't know. And to Todd, if your ideology survives only by denying election results, you might be in a cult, my friend. All right, Marcus on the subreddit said, can anyone admit Trump has only done one good thing, the border? Marcus writes, border crossings are down 94% since he took office. I agree he has effed up on everything else. But regarding the border, does anyone agree he has done good here in reducing the crossings? It's the only thing he's done. Am I right or am I misguided? So here's the question I would have. The idea that Trump's border policies were and are effective really depends on what you're measuring and then what you're willing to ignore. Did the reported number of illegal crossings drop recently? Did it drop at some point during COVID? Did it drop at certain points during Biden's presidency? Yes, the number of reported illegal crossings has gone up and it has gone down. And at one point it was down partially to Title 40 due to Title 42, global shutdowns, pandemic, all these different things. If you acknowledge that border crossings being down is not necessarily because of something the president has done, although that can certainly be a factor, to me, it seems that we should really be evaluating immigration a little bit more broadly. If you do believe that Trump's policies of cruelty and dysfunction reduce the number of illegal crossings, that's what you see in the data and you say that makes sense to me. When Trump said only 3 people crossed illegally in March or something, I don't know anyone who believes that, but if you believe that, then I guess Trump gets partial credit, but then he's also got to get credit for the chaos and for the areas he has failed to deal with immigration on. Child separations, the ICE raids, chaos at ports of entry, detentions with no due process, deportations with no due process. You've got to do the whole thing, okay? And if to some degree Trump's responsible for the decrease in the illegal crossings, if we believe that, then he can get some credit for that. I don't see a problem. But then we've got to evaluate immigration in sum total, SUM total. And in total, it's actually been one of the greatest fiascos. So if we just zoom out and we go, okay, overall, has the immigration situation improved or worsened under Trump? Arguable reduced number of illegal crossings, which we're 3 months in, and you've got to look at that track record over 4 years, but arguable reduction in illegal crossings in the first 3 months. Okay. And then 4 months. On the other hand, complete flouting of law and order, ignoring legal court decisions, talking about ending due process, ripping people off the streets. In total, I think we're worse off than when we started. That's my view. Okay. Mick Priestley says on YouTube, imagine being a Christian and then going berserk because the Pope follows the teachings of Christ. Yeah, it's almost like some people don't really want a Pope. They want a culture war mascot. And the moment that the Catholic Church got a new Pope who talks about refugees, who talks about poverty, who talks about peace, climate change maybe, suddenly the Pope's a Marxist rather than the messenger of Christ that they wanted. And this, by the way, every time the Catholic Church liberalizes just a tiny little bit, and we've covered a number of popes now, every time that this happens, all of a sudden they go, oh, this is not really Christianity. And of course, maybe the problem isn't the Pope following Jesus. It's that a lot of American Christians are following their political party instead of the teachings of Jesus. That's what I would propose to them. Okay, where are we at on? Okay, here we go. Admiral Wit says, yes, David, here we go. Did you know that Barack Obama received $1 million in jewelry from Saudi Arabia and that King Abdullah from Jordania give Michelle Obama and her kids $300,000 worth of jewelry? Those Demerists, I think he means Democrats, those Demerists keep it and nobody in the Demo Rats party say a word about it. Dear God. So this is all, of course, in the context of Trump getting a free plane from Qatar. Obama, while president, was the recipient of some gifts from foreign leaders. That's right. Every modern president has been the recipient of gifts from foreign leaders. It's part of democracy. And what happens to those gifts is that they go to the National Archives. They get reported to the State Department under the Foreign Gifts and Decorations Act. There's an entire federal process for it. It's public, it's cataloged, it's audited. If you're imagining Michelle Obama walking out of a state dinner with $300,000 worth of necklaces stuffed into her purse, that's a fantasy, not a fact. And there are two issues with what's going on with Trump. Number one, undisclosed gifts and payments, emoluments, when foreign dignitaries would stay at Trump's failing D.C. hotel to ingratiate themselves with him so that when they go to the White House, they go, oh, we love the hotel. The mini bar was so good. That's an emolument, okay, something of value that is undisclosed. And further, the airplane, which then goes to Trump's presidential library after Trump's presidential library foundation, I think it is just nowhere on the same scale as Obama getting some jewelry that he has no interest in that immediately is turned over to the National Archives. So give me a break. All right, Justin from Spotify says, stacking up wins across the world. So fast we can't even count. Peace, not war, and libs still laugh at sound bits. Blowing smoke all the way to the finish line, and you will thank him, meaning Trump, later. What wins is Justin talking about? Trump's main export is chaos. He didn't end wars. He's cozying up to authoritarians around the world, gutting the diplomatic corps, mass firing federal workers, shaking up the economy, and potentially imperiling American businesses with blanket tariffs. If your win is that sometimes we on the left get mad, I don't know what to tell you, bro. You know, at some point, people stop laughing and we start saying there's something really dangerous here. And I don't know exactly what wins Justin is referring to, but they seem pretty few and far between. Miriam on Substack says, it occurred to me the other day, watching all this stuff about Trump and the deep money grabs he's doing around the world, that he fully expects to get impeached. He's making sure he gathers as much money in his pocket before it happens. Have you had any thoughts? I'd be interested. You know, it's an interesting theory, right? That instead of governance, Trump's doing liquidation, foreign deals, real estate shell games, super PACs paying legal bills, endless merch grifts, the meme coin, the entire thing. Because he's not running a country, he's running a fire sale before the feds close in or before he gets impeached. I just struggle, Miriam, to believe that that's what this is really about, because Trump has now found de facto immunity by becoming president. And if I were Trump, I would be feeling pretty damn good that they couldn't get me legally, criminally. They couldn't get me with 2 impeachments. They couldn't even prevent me from winning and becoming president again. And so if I were Trump, I wouldn't be assumed I'm getting impeached. And if I get impeached, I would assume I'm going to be acquitted in the Senate, because that's what happened before. And I think it's what will happen again. So it's an interesting idea. But if I'm Trump, knowing everything we know about Trump, I don't think that that's really what he's thinking. I don't think he's worried about that. I think it's very clear that Trump sees having won as all the immunity that he needs. Let me know what you think. info@davidpakman.com. Remember that my book, The Echo Machine, an instant New York Times bestseller, is available everywhere books are sold. Any bookstore can get it for you. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. It's in too many places. And if you've already bought the book, please do review it on Amazon, where we are now up to, how many reviews do we have on this thing? 1,100 reviews. I absolutely love it. Make sure you review the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Goodreads. We'll see you on the bonus show. Have a good Memorial Day. After researching, writing, refining, The Echo Machine, my book, is finally out. This is not just a book about how American politics got so broken. It's also about what's happening right now and what we can still do to stop things from getting worse. Trump's been back in power. The results have been even more catastrophic than many feared, with targeting of political opponents and gutting democratic institutions, laying the groundwork to even further consolidate power. But the thing is that none of this is inevitable. The same forces that brought us here can be countered if we understand how they work and what to do about them. And that's what The Echo Machine is all about. Some say that without corporate media backing, books like this can't succeed. I think we can prove them wrong. You can get The Echo Machine right now at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, or by calling any local bookstore and asking them to order it. This book is more important than ever. If you care about what happens next, and I do, check out The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo.